Welcome everyone. Today, using nothing but my wits, my intuition, and my encyclopedic knowledge of the PC hardware industry, I will prognosticate the future to let you guys know if things are just out of control permanently or if there is some hope in the future on the horizon. And that is just going to be the answer to the first question. It is that time of the month again, and I think I am ready for my next probing.
Excellent!
Thermaltake's original SwaFan series revolutionized case fans by adding swappable fan blades, and now they're even better with the SwaFan EX, featuring magnetic connectors that daisy-chain fans together to simplify installation and cable management. They're still available in black or snow trim with 12 or 14 centimeter sizes. They still feature high static pressure for use with radiators, and they still come with an extra set of reversed fan blades, easy to swap in so you can show off your fan's good side no matter where it's installed in your case. For more on the SwaFan EX from Thermaltake, click the sponsor link in the video description. So in case you're new here, this is Probing Paul. It's my monthly Q&A series, and it's sometimes supplemented by mail time as well, which is the case today. I'm going to be opening some packages. But of course, tradition dictates that we must first gaze down the hole through which I have been probed in the past. As you can see here, there is a Probing Paul playlist if you'd like to check it out. There's lots of questions I've been asked before that I've always answered correctly. If you would like to leave me a question for next month, you can leave that in the comment section below. That is where all of this month's questions came from. And we're going to start off with the first one right here from Borrero MD1196. Do you think the next gen of GPUs, Team Red and Team Green, will be more or just as expensive? Just considering the general situation with GPU pricing, inflation, people not having money to spend, and of course the recent launch of the RTX 4070, which at $600 seemed like it might be good, but actually left a lot of us disappointed. So the short answer, the blunt answer to your question is no. GPU prices are not going to get better. In fact, they're probably going to get worse. Prices are going to go up, and things are going to be more expensive in a few years' time than they are even today. I base this on history for one. The highest end graphics cards used to top out at $400 to $600, and then they got up to $800 and $1,000. And I would say largely through NVIDIA's efforts, the top tier pricing has crept all the way up to $2,000 and beyond in the past 5 to 10 years. And there are of course a lot of variables and factors that go into how much graphics cards cost, as well as how much consumers are willing to pay for them. And there's a lot of established economic principles, supply and demand, the basics all the way up to the more complex stuff, analyzing market trends and trying to do what I'm doing right now and predict the future. But there are two, I think, fundamental basics that you should keep in mind. One is that businesses are going to business, and NVIDIA, and by extension AMD, will continue to charge as much as they possibly can for their graphics cards as long as consumers are willing to pay it. And that is the second thing to keep in mind. Are consumers currently paying for the exorbitantly overpriced graphics cards that are out there on the market? And the answer seems to be yes, because those prices haven't really dipped very much. 2020 through 2022 saw what was, in my mind, an outside influence on the GPU market, which was the influence of cryptocurrency, which was a completely different use case for graphics cards versus typical GPU compute work or, of course, gaming like you do on a home PC. And also a very different setup in terms of supply and demand. Usually a single consumer who has a demand for a graphics card, once they get a graphics card, that demand is satiated and they don't need more of them, versus with cryptocurrency, the more graphics cards you could obtain, the more money you could potentially make, although thankfully that is no longer the case. What that did do is balloon graphics card prices up. There was a massive bubble, as many of us know. There was a shortage, which led to even higher prices. That caused scalpers to get in on the situation, which was another group of people buying graphics cards who wouldn't have unless they could have flipped them for a profit. But after Ethereum, the biggest cryptocurrency that was being mined with graphics cards, switched from proof of work to proof of stake, there was suddenly not a market for GPUs for cryptocurrency mining anymore. And again, from my perspective, that should have been the market situation that led to a crash in graphics card prices. But the point I'm trying to get at here is that I think the end of 2022 and beginning of 2023, with the death of GPU cryptocurrency mining, the flood of secondhand cards on the secondary market, and generally speaking, market conditions that seemed like they were indicating an oversupply of graphics card that would more than satiate the demand that was out there, all those things combined together did not lead to the predicted crash in graphics card prices. Yes, they did dip from the peak pricing that we saw at the top of the GPU shortage, but especially if you look at like mid-range NVIDIA cards, we never saw those really dip down below MSRP, and those cards launched back in 2020, by and large. So that experience, especially over the past year or so, indicated to me that there's a lot of demand out there for graphics cards, which is good for the likes of NVIDIA and AMD's Radeon team, of course, but not quite so good for budget-minded buyers out there who have been waiting for market conditions to dictate that overall pricing should drop down to something that's a little bit more acceptable for us who are comparing to what prices have been historically over the past 5 or 10 years. But if you'd like to watch the situation play out one more time, the RTX 4070 just launched a day or two ago. $600 is the base price for the cards, and a lot of reviewers like myself said $600 is still too much for this card. And there are going to be aftermarket third-party designs of this card that probably are going to sell for $650, $700, $750 or more. But we have also been told that there's supposed to be plenty of supply of the RTX 4070. So if in the next 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, we don't see fire sales on the RTX 4070 dipping the price down to $550 or $500, then it means enough people are buying the cards that NVIDIA doesn't feel threatened by a lack of demand. And so the market is dictating, yes again, that NVIDIA is right, and they totally can sell these cards for $600, no matter what jaded reviewers like me might say, based on historical precedent of what 70 class cards have cost in the past. But none of that really matters. All that matters is how many of those cards are getting added to cart, checked out with, and how much money is flowing into the NVIDIA coffers. Moving along though, the rest of the questions veer a little bit away from the GPU, PC hardware type stuff, and are a little bit more about production and Paul's hardware in general. Jason Hines 9714 says, thank you for the awesome sauce probing. You're very welcome, Jason. Question is, would you be able to build a shed or a studio in my backyard for new space so my garage can hold other stuff? And of course, I do have a covered patio on my side yard. So this is talking about a little bit of the stuff I talked about in the last probing, Paul, which was in February. I've shown a lot of this office in the moving in and setup phases, and I've been here for about 9 months now, but I only started off with a 1-year lease, so I'm getting to the point where I really need to make some decisions on whether I'm gonna stick with this long term or figure something else out. And just to be clear, that decision is not made yet, so I'm just kind of spitballing some stuff here, but I am heavily considering moving back home and moving back into the garage. And this video is actually only about 7 months old now, which was tearing down the old set in the garage so that I can move a lot of it over here to the office. So the benefits of the office were supposed to be space, less sound and noise interference, because I kind of live near some train tracks that trains would rumble by from time to time, which I'd have to pause shooting for. And then of course, just a lot more space here versus my garage, which would very, very often get very, very cluttered up with stuff. So perhaps this is something that you guys could give me some further feedback in the comment section down below. If I decide to move out of the office and move back home, then in the next 2 or 3 months, I'm gonna be doing a massive rehabilitation job on both the garage, the area behind the garage. In fact, we have a lot of work we want to do in the backyard as well. And all of that is going to be very time consuming. I've also been considering my time in general and how I often have to split it between my family, my wife and daughter, my extended family beyond that, my friends who I like to keep up with, my work life, my work stuff, video making and everything that's involved there, and then my home, which also involves a lot of upkeep and maintenance. And since my wife and I both work full time, we often do not feel like we have enough time to cover all of those things adequately. So if I decide to go ahead with moving back home, then I want to basically completely clear out the garage, redo a bunch of the drywall, install some actual good air conditioning in there, redo all the storage so I have space for stuff, probably do a big garage sale where I sell off a bunch of stuff that I don't need. And if I do that, then I'm probably gonna change my video production plans for at least a few months. And I'm gonna be doing 2 videos a week on the tech. One will be tech news, one will be another tech video, a build or a review or something like that. And then the 3rd video each week would just be a video on my progress on the home stuff, upgrades, maintenance, working with tools and other hardware, DIYing some stuff myself, hiring out professionals for a lot of the things. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's a tough call to make, but I'd really love your feedback. So if you guys have any feedback for me on that plan, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Just a few more questions. I'm gonna answer it quickly so I can get on to the mail time. PC Italian, how you doing? Hey, Paul, thanks for the amazing content. You're very welcome. I'm picking a question for Probing Paul. Do I ever cut questions during editing? A good question about my video making process, and I would say it's kind of changed over time. I used to pick maybe 8 to 10 or 11 questions, and this kind of video is unscripted, so I just kind of ramble off my answers and say the things that come to my head. And then going through the editing process, I would decide like, oh, this video is getting way too long, or maybe I didn't really like the answer that I gave to a question. So back then it was pretty common for me to delete an answer or two just to shorten up the video or remove some stuff that I didn't really think was edifying for people to watch. However, more recently, and I don't know how recently, maybe past year or two, how long have I been doing Probing Paul even? It's been a while. And perhaps I've just refined the process a little bit more, but I tend to just answer the questions that I pick and leave those all in the video these days. Next question from Fierce134 is making it into a Probing Paul video considered resume worthy? I'm gonna put it on mine and find out. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Fierce134. And I am also excited to find out what the future holds. Yes, if I answer one of your questions here on the show and your name and your avatar is there up on screen, you should absolutely screenshot that, drop it into your resume. I think it will probably open a lot of doors for you, and you might have job offers and opportunities. Probably just adding it to the resume will result in you getting job offers before you even send the resume out. At least that's been my experience. And lastly, we have two not questions. I did a little bit of patting myself on the back in the last Probing Paul, talking about how I like to put timestamps and links in the description because I find that to be very helpful for people. And Phil said, hey, while you're patting yourself on the back, thanks for your sense of humor and your politeness for pretty much every situation you run into. Shows how much class you have, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Phil. And I would like to say that I don't know how it comes across to you guys because you guys see the edited stuff. It's not always easy. I often get into bitter, negative moods, and I'm sure my editor, Joe, if he wanted to, could go back and dig out a bunch of times where I'm just cursing or talking about how much I hate a product or something like that. But I don't know. I think there's a time and a place for negativity. Negativity really sells. It's a great way to sell a video and get people to view it. But I try to reserve my most vitriolic diatribes, I suppose, for things that I feel really deserve it. So my day-to-day frustrations or things that I get mad at don't really justify that always in my mind. But the reason I included this comment is that it makes me happy to know that there are some of my viewers out there who kind of notice that I do try to keep things a little bit more polite, because that is just the vibe that I want to come across in the videos. And like Udilson2 says, what I like most about you enjoy the relaxing vibes. I want things to be relaxed, casual, positive as much as I can. So yeah, it makes me happy to know that that stuff comes through for you guys as well. And I've really been appreciating the extra things that Joe has been adding to the content lately too. Good job, Joe. Now it's time for mail time, where I open packages that were sent to me. If you'd like to send me something, you can send it to P.O. Box 4325, Diamond Bar, California. That should be on screen right now. And if you happen to also send me a tweet or something like that to let me know when you send me a package, that's also greatly appreciated. Most of the packages that I'm opening today came to my P.O. Box, but there are a few others that I will explain as I get to them. This one is from Zach Nelson from Washington. Starts off with a letter. Okay, a few things in this letter. Very nice letter, very kind letter. And Zach has actually already sent me something before, so Zach, thank you for sending me stuff yet again. There are a few things in here about religion and life choices. Zach, thank you for sharing those things with me. I'm not going to further disseminate those things to the audience, but Zach actually works for a chocolate company, and that I am happy to share. Well, I'll show it to you guys. I'm gonna eat all the chocolate. The chocolate company is Fortunato Chocolate, and Zach included some dark chocolate mint patties and some sea salt caramel turtles. Zach, thank you very much for sending these over. And I suppose since Zach was kind enough to send these over, and it's not quite lunchtime yet, I should at least try one of these. Oh, it's like a Girl Scout cookie Thin Mint, but 10 times better. This is delicious, Zach. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next up, we have a package here, and this one I will confess, I already checked out briefly because I had no idea what it was at first. But this comes from our friends over at Extra Life. Extra Life is a charity organization, if you're not aware. They work with Children's Miracle Network hospitals, and my good friend Kyle and I have been doing a twice yearly charity live stream the past 5 years? I don't know how many years now. Because all of our fans are super generous and kind and do crazy good donations when we do those events. Extra Life sends us some plaques and some memorabilia to be congratulations on being a top fundraiser. This one is very shiny, so it's picking up a lot of reflections. But it says, congrats on being a top fundraiser for Extra Life in 2022. Together, we will change kids' health to change the future. And that is just lovely. I like the design that they've done here. It includes some artwork from one of the kids who has been helped and supported by the Extra Life efforts. And they also included a card, which has some very kind words from our friends over at Extra Life. Did you know that they raised over $11 million for Children's Miracle Network hospitals in 2022? Big thank you to any of you guys who have helped us by donating during our charity live streams. Come to think of it, I need to talk to Kyle so we can get the dates nailed down for what we're gonna do for this year. And while it is not part of the Extra Life efforts, if you're into charity fundraising at all, or if you're just interested in winning a PC that's up for giveaway, check out the build that I did last week. It was sponsored by Thermaltake and features a 7800X 3D CPU and an RTX 4070 Ti GPU. That giveaway should be open for another week or so if you still want to enter, and part of the reason that we did it was to help raise money for our good friend Travis Peacock, who formerly ran the Shellback Tech charity. There's a lot more information about it in that video, but I did want to update you guys that the initial goal was $2,500 to raise for that fundraiser. We blew past that and have actually surpassed $10,000 right now. And Travis came back to me and he said, Paul, we're amazed, we are humbled, we are overjoyed, but it is actually too much. So Travis has already been talking to me about how he can take a good chunk of that money that has been donated to him and redonate it back to a good charitable cause, although we haven't quite exactly figured the details out on that. But that's part of the reason I did that fundraiser for Travis, is because he's just such a good-hearted person and he didn't even want to take all the money that we tried to give him. But anyway, thank you to Extra Life. Thank you to those of you who have donated in any of the charity fundraisers we've done. Go enter to win that PC if you haven't already. And then the other like mail time thing that I got was my 7800X 3D arrived this week. Since I put my sample one in the giveaway system, I was like, I can't be without a 7800X 3D. So I managed to buy one on launch day before they sold out. Just a few more items in the pile, starting with this one. It's Maximum PC, look at this. I don't know who over at Maximum PC signed me up to have this start arriving in my PO box, but I wanted to say thank you because I was a long time Maximum PC reader. I still follow a lot of the old school Maximum PC editors and writers, and it was one of the things that before there was as much online presence for finding out stuff about PC hardware, really kept me up to date and in the know, and also it was a time in my life when I didn't really have easy access to PC hardware, so it allowed me to read about stuff and fantasize about the hardware that was out there, even though I couldn't necessarily afford it myself at the time. But yeah, this just started showing up, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. I'm gonna save the Legos for last because those are special. I have one more box here from Russell Purcell from Tennessee. This one arrived a while back and I had just been waiting for a few more things to accumulate before I did a mail time installment. It does look like it's been through a few things here and there, but we do have a letter on top. Let's see what it says. Russell, I already like the way that you're writing this letter. I'm at least gonna read you guys the first paragraph here. Hey Paul, greetings from Memphis, Tennessee's first brew pub. In the before times, I once promised via super chat on awesome hardware that I, Russell, as a barman at a brew pub would send you over some beer as a sample. Alas, it never came to fruition for reasons. Reasons, I say, and no, of course, the reasons did not include that when I brought the samples home, I would end up drinking them myself before I could package them. How dare you suggest such a thing, Paul? There were reasons. But Russell goes on to indicate that he has indeed sent me beer, and that always makes me happy. And it even looks like we might have a bit of an assortment. That's not beer, that's a dry rub. These are all quite well packaged. Woohoo. All right, let's start with the not beer. We have Central Barbecue Hot Rub, Memphis style, made in the USA. And you know, grilling season is upon us, so I'm totally gonna make use of this. We also have some Central Barbecue Hot Barbecue Sauce, which I feel like my wife might appreciate. I'll probably like it too. I will say that I can handle heat a lot better than I used to, but I haven't really sort of mixed the barbecue heat in quite as much. Maybe some. I do a variety of my ribs that has chili powder that does have some heat in it. But all right, these are Crowlers 32-ounce 1-quart cans. The ones with the caps on top, which is why he put tape over the top too. Great attention to detail there. This is the Isle of Skye Scottish Ale, 7.09% alcohol by volume. We also have a seasonal ale called Old Fowl. Is that Old Fowl or Old Fool? I'm gonna say probably Old Fool is what that probably says, 7.5% by volume. And we've got the Boscos Bombay IPA, India Pale Ale, 58 IBUs and 6.3% alcohol by volume. Because of the day that I'm recording this video, it's not necessarily a great time for me to crack one of these open and drink it, but I do occasionally have a beer while I shoot tech news, so I'm definitely gonna do that with one of these very soon. Beautiful though, great day. Many thanks to you, Russell, and many thanks to all the folks over at Bosco's Restaurant and Brewing Company. A little bit more of that cookie before I move on to the last item. This is technically not mail time. This was my birthday present from my wife and my daughter. They went to the Lego store, they bought me some Legos. There is a birthday cake over here since it was my birthday this past week. And there's also a Brickhead's Gandalf the Grey and Balrog. Also, did you see the card? Did you know that I'm not your average dad? So why am I showing you guys these? I'm not even planning to build them right now. Well, I wanted to brag that I get Legos for my birthday. Obviously, that makes me really excited. But I'm not trying to suggest that any of you guys should also send me Legos for my birthday. But I did want to do a little bit of a confession, which is that at some point in the past, I don't know, 2 to 3 months, I caught the Lego bug. And Legos are something that I really enjoyed and I played with a lot when I was a lot younger. But beyond like my early teenage years, I haven't really touched them since. But we started to buy some basic Lego sets for my daughter last year. And then in the past couple months, I was like, I think I like Legos now too. The reason that I'm slightly embarrassed about it is because my collection has grown fairly quickly, and I can blame a few things on that, myself of course, but also Bricklink. If you guys don't know about Bricklink and you're into Legos at all, don't go to Bricklink, it's way too addictive. But you know, in this video, I've been spitballing some ideas for maybe the future of my channel and stuff that I'm gonna be working on this year. So I thought maybe I'll confess my personal recent Lego addiction and see if any of you guys would be interested in Lego-based content. Probably not here on the main channel, but you know, like I have times for these things, maybe a secondary channel or something like that. Maybe that's something I could just post on TikTok or that sort of thing. Who knows? But if you're interested, leave me that feedback, leave me those comments in the comment section down below. Leave me some questions to answer next month while you're at it. Also, while you're at it, if you'd like to hit the thumbs up button on this video, if you enjoyed it, that's much appreciated. You can also check the description for a link to my store where you can buy shirts, mugs, pint glasses, and all manner of high quality merchandise to help support my channel and the continued production of videos like these. Lastly, if you're not subscribed, consider doing that too so you can be notified when I post videos in the future. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you all in the next one.